Hello guys, and welcome to the chaos. So I figured it might be fun to do a little storytime video. I had originally planned to keep this video as I tried digital art for the first time, and while I was editing it this week, I realized that it was the most boring thing that I have ever made. Which is nothing to do with like the format, it's just I'm not very fun to watch draw because it's just me struggling for hours. And I kind of realized that a lot of these types of videos are like story times. Like the drawing is a background to the actual story, just to something to watch while you listen. So I figured, why the heck not? We'll try that. See if that makes this any more fun. So, picture this. It's 2018. You're a young adult with a mildly nice tax refund. And they announce that this will be the last Warp Tour. They lied, but more on that later. What do? Well, naturally you spend an ungodly amount of money to fly to Los Angeles, or Las Vegas, for a show, because that's the only show that both bands you want to see are at. And it's in June. And you've never been to Las Vegas, and you don't realize how god dang hot it is there. So yeah. This is the story of the first and only time I went to Warped Tour in Las Vegas. So, enjoy. If you don't know what Warped Tour is, it's like a huge concert here in the US with like 30 different bands that all play at one time, like on 3 different stages. And the lineup is like mostly rock and alternative. And it's with bands with like My Chemical Romance, We the King, Sleeping with Sirens, Real Big Fish. I think Avenged Sevenfold played a couple times. 303, just like popular alternative or rock bands. And basically, if you ever self-identified as an emo kid, you wanted to live there forever. Needless to say, I, in fact, identified as an emo kid for years, so I wanted to live there. But I'd never gotten to go to one, mostly because they don't have shows anywhere near I live, like, whatsoever. They have one in Portland, which is like 4 hours away, but it's never a good show. Like, it's always a boring show. All the bands don't want to go there, so it's not really worth going to that show. So they announced that it's going to be the end of the tour. They did one more afterwards, of course, because marketing ploys. And I decided, you know what? I have to go, but I can't go alone. I mean, I was 20 at the time and still afraid to walk through town alone, let alone going to a big city that I had no idea about. So, I messaged my best friend, who is terrified, absolutely terrified of flying, like, vowed she would never set foot on a plane in her entire life. Didn't matter if she was going to die if she didn't, would never step foot on a plane. And was like, I will pay for absolutely everything if you go to Warped Tour with me, but it's in Las Vegas, so you have to fly. And she promptly said, hell no. Which, like, how do you turn that, but, you know what, I talked to her for a bit and was like, look, dude, I will pay for absolutely everything. All you have to do is get on the plane. Black Veil Brides is playing, Falling in Reverse is playing, it's the only show that they're both at the same time, and we could even stay in Vegas for a week. Like, please. And finally she was like, alright, fine, whatever, and was absolutely terrified the entire time, but I won. So a few months later, we were off. And I think the only really notable thing about the flight was when we were going in, there was a heck ton of turbulence. So the entire flight, she had been fine until then, when the plane just dropped 200 feet. Which, fair, half the plane screamed. So, like, it was unprompted. They didn't warn us, so. But she's actually not afraid of flying after that, so that's a good thing, right? Right? So we get to Las Vegas, and, like, the airport's huge, right? And it is, probably, like, 70 plus degrees. Like, that doesn't sound like a lot, but where I'm from, it's usually pretty cold, and, like, it gets to, like, 90 in the summer for, like, a week. Like, it snowed here 3 days ago. It's May. It snowed on Mother's Day. So, like, heat's not something we deal with a whole lot. Like, it gets warm, but not Las Vegas warm. So we get out and promptly start melting. Because we didn't really think ahead to, like, oh, we should probably wear nice, loose summer clothes, because it's going to be hot the second we get there. Yeah, we didn't think about that. So, we're standing out waiting for our shuttle to get there, and promptly melting like the Wicked Witch who just had water thrown on her. But we get on our shuttle, we start heading out, we see, like, the Luxor and, like, Excalibur in the distance, which is super cool. Because, like I said, neither of us had ever been to Las Vegas. Just, like, we'd seen and, like, heard it online, you know, like, seen on TV and stuff, but never actually experienced any of it. So it was really cool driving up through, getting to see all of the, you know, the landmark hotels that you get to see. On the way to ours, which was Planet Hollywood, I think. It was very difficult to find a hotel that we could book at 20, because all of them there require you to be 21 because of the bars and gambling and drinking and all of that fun stuff. But we ain't there for that. We're here to see a show. So we finally found, there was only like one hotel that we were able to book at 20 versus 21. So we get there. It's really nice, super nice hotel. We walk in our shredded skinny jeans and band t-shirts that we were already wearing, and realize that this hotel is a bit bougier than we were expecting. So we did not fit in at all with the businessmen to our right and ladies wearing Gucci and Prada to our left. And then there's us rocking some Hot Topic. And yeah, we got looked at like it too. So it was kind of funny, honestly, to be like, "Excuse me, ma'am, we're renting a hotel here. As you can see, we are meant to be here." The imposter syndrome that entire trip because of that was so bad. Like, after we drop our bags on the floor and are like, "All right, there's malls here," which probably doesn't sound like a whole bunch of excitement to a lot of people, but in the town that we're from, it's very small. We live in a very small town. And there isn't an indoor mall anywhere near here. Like, the closest we have is some outlet malls, which are fine, you know, it's whatever. But nothing compared to, like, the stereotypical go to the mall, hit up the food court, go to, like, 15 different shops and walk around inside kind of thing. We don't have that here. So we're like, all right, they have, like, 5 different malls here. Let's go to the mall. We'll find some new clothes, something that's not, you know, absolutely Satanly hot. And grab some dinner and just kind of walk around, because it's not something we'd ever really gotten to do. That is the night that I got my favorite pair of shoes that I have ever found, which were, like, custom-made Harley Quinn high top Converse. And if I can find a picture, it'll be here. But, like, I loved them. They were so expensive though. So nothing too much happened. We went to the malls, we explored a little bit for probably the first 2 days. And finally, Warped Tour. Warped Tour finally rolls around. Now, the one problem that I didn't foresee, right, was that they don't tell you what the lineup's gonna be. They don't tell you when anyone's going to be playing. So you have to be there first thing in the morning to, like, make sure you don't miss the band that you came to see. But you also can't leave after you're in the door. So we were really only there to see Black Veil Brides and Falling in Reverse. Like, other band, we saw a couple other bands and it was fine, right? But we were only really there to see them. And unfortunately, they were playing at, like, 5 p.m. We got there at, like, 8. Because we weren't the first people in line, but we were pretty close to the front of the line. So, needless to say, it was ungodly. It was 121 degrees that day. No human should be exposed to heat that is 121 degrees. So many people almost died. And on top of it, you can bring your own outside water, but that won't last you very long, right? Like, we brought our own water bottles, but that ain't gonna last you very long in 121 degree weather. And they only have one water bottle refilling station. And the only way to get to that water bottle refilling station is to mosh your way there and beat people out of your way. Because ain't no one standing in a nice orderly line. No, there's mobs. Because people are dying of dehydration. So we get there at 8 a.m. And we wait there until it opens at 9. It's already like 70 at 9 in the morning. And if you've seen my other videos, you know that I am quite pale. I don't have very good skin for the sun. In fact, I burn if I look at it. And me, being me, forgot sunscreen. Luckily, there was a really nice lady behind us who let me use hers. But I did, in fact, walk away from that show with sunburns through my ripped jeans, so I was polka dotted with sunburns for like 3 months. But we get in, we find out that Black Veil Brides isn't playing until 5 o'clock that night. And we're like, oof, you know, what if we just like head back to the hotel until like 4 and then we can come back? Well, we go to leave, right? And they're like, if you leave, you can't come back. We're like, why? Post your... If anyone who runs shows is hearing this, ever, post your lineup and the times. So we're like, all right, we are stuck here until 5 o'clock if we want. And, you know, we finish off our water, we're chilling. We're like, all right, this is not bad. It's fun. It's a little people-y, which is to be expected. It's a giant music festival. Like, you're gonna get peopled. But we're hanging out underneath the misting tent because that's the only place you even slightly feel human. This entire place. And honestly, I'd like to tell you more details about the concert itself. But I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that my brain boiled a bit. Because I cannot remember the 7 hours that we were there. Whatsoever. After the first half hour where we went moshed for some water and had to get out of the misting tent because you were only allowed to stay in there for so long, I don't remember anything. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I wasn't even there. So Black Veil Bride starts playing in like 20 minutes, right? So we run up to the concert where the band is currently playing. I believe it was Real Big Fish that was playing. No, it was Real Big Fish on one stage and Mayday Parade on the other one, which was so cool. I never got to see either of them in concert, so that was really cool to see. And we slowly and nicely work our way to the front of the stage. Totally not elbowing people out of our way. We're totally not that mean. Until we are at the gate. And we got to see Black Veil Brides, which was super cool. It wasn't the first time I'd seen them in concert, but it was so fun to see, right? Like, their stage presence is fantastic. It was, however, my best friend's first time to see them, as she was losing her mind. And they played, like, Knives and Pins, which is one of their first songs and one of their most loved songs, which was super cool to see that actually, like, in person. But it was a super fun show. And Falling in Reverse was playing right after them. Like 2 bands afterwards. And instead of staying, we noped out of there. We're like, alright, we saw one, we're going home. It's so hot. We're in so much pain. So the entire reason we went to the Vegas show specifically was to see both of them, and we didn't end up doing that. That was a no bueno there. No. Not staying. So we get out of there. fight for a cab to get home, and pass out in bed for like 2 days. We do not leave the hotel for 2 full days. Because we were recovering from that until we promptly needed to go get a pack of cigarettes because we were out at the time I smoked and she smoked. So we're like, well, dang, we have to go away from our hotel to get those because I don't know. I mean, I know exactly why, but on the Strip, if you're on like the very main part in Vegas, everything is marked up 1,000%. So like getting a pack of cigarettes in the hotel or from a store anywhere on that main strip is gonna run you like $20 at the time, which was like 5 years ago, something like that. So it's much more now, but it was already like $20 for a pack. So we're like, all right, we're gonna go off the strip. Go to Popeyes. No, Raising Cane's. We went to Raising Cane's because she'd never been, which is fair. We don't have one anywhere near here. Go to Raising Cane's, get some dinner, grab a pack of cigarettes, and just head back to the hotel. Not a big deal. Oh, were we wrong? So we got food. Fantastic. Raising Cane's. I love you. And we run over to the Walgreens across the street to pick up a pack of cigarettes. And as we're walking up, there's a man standing outside. And we just kind of, ignore him. Try not to make eye contact, very much just in, no thanky, out. Well, he stops us, and we look at him. And he has one eye. One eye is missing. The other one is, like, really bloodshot. The other one is completely gone. And he's like, hey, if you go in there and steal me socks, I'll give you $5. Or if you want, I got some heroin if you want that instead. And we're like, no, we're good, sir. We don't really want either of those things. But we were scared. So we take his $5, promptly go inside and talk to the cashier, and are like, hey, so there's this one-eyed guy outside who offered us heroin to steal him socks and gave us money to steal him socks. What do we do? So the guy looks over and he's like, he has one eye, doesn't he? We're like, yes! How you know? And I don't remember the name, but he says the guy's name out loud. They're just like, again? And they send the security guard out there with his money and to shoo him off. Because apparently, this is not the first time the one-eyed heroin man has tried to get people to steal him socks. So we're like, alright, well, we're just here for a pack of cigarettes. Thank you. Can we hang out in here until our cab gets here? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Because we're like, we're scared of him. We just narked on him. He might come back. They're like, yeah, no, you're fine to stay in here until your cab gets here. And at that moment is when the hotel decided the deposit was going to come off of my card. So the $400 that we'd had for the last 4 days that we were expecting to have was just not there at all. So we had no money and we're stranded at a Walgreens, a 20-minute walk, minimum a 20-minute walk from our hotel, and somewhere abounding was Mr. One-Eye. So we're like, alright, well, we have some cash. Let's call a regular cab instead of an Uber. Let's call a cab. They were 5 hours out. They were booked for 5 hours. And the Walgreens closed in approximately a half hour. So we're sitting inside, freaking out.
losing our minds because we're gonna die. This is how we die. Like, what if he comes back? And then this sweetest little old lady, she was probably like 80, saw us in there and was like, oh guys, are you, you're not from around here, are you? And we're like, no, we're not. She's like, do you need a ride anywhere? And we're like, hold on. We walk away. We're like, all right, we have two choices here. Either we trust this random stranger who could very well kill us. We don't know. I've seen enough true crime to trust no one. So, who could very well kill us. Or worse. Or we try and walk back and hope we don't run into the tweaker. Needless to say, we took the ride from the nice little old lady who didn't end up killing us, obviously. She was very sweet. She dropped us off at our hotel, made sure that we got inside, and we waved her off once we got up to our room because she refused to leave until she knew we were safely inside. And it was so genuinely heartwarming. Like, if you ever see this somehow, thank you for saving our lives. We are still indebted to you. Thank you. And after that, we promptly decided we were not going to leave the hotel until we left. Because, oh boy, that was more than enough excitement for us for our entire lives. The end. We flew home like 2 days later. And yeah, no, that was super fun, but also the most terrifying experience of our lives. So yeah, guys, that is the story of the first, last, and only time that I ever went to Warped Tour. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like below and maybe consider subscribing. Maybe. And I will see you guys next week with something. I'm not sure what. Stay weird. Bye.